Good morning, everyone. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Hope you are having a wonderful Thursday morning. It has been raining all week here. I can't even remember the last time I saw the sun. And school is in, and my poor son hates the rain. So if you are dealing with rain and you have a kid like mine, I see you. All right, you guys. So we have some breaking news out of New Jersey. Mike, the Situation Sorrentino, was released from federal prison after serving an 8-month sentence for fraud, tax evasion, all that good stuff. And he was released after serving a total of 8 months, but he's not completely off the hook. He will still have to have 2 years of supervised release, and he'll have to pay $10,000 in fines, and he has to complete 500 hours of community service. So boy is going to be busy. Now, on Instagram, Miss Sorrentino, or Mrs. Sorrentino, Lauren, his wife that he married just prior to his incarceration. They got married in November of 2018, and he surrendered in January of 2019, has been sharing photos of the two of them online. She also was online earlier today sharing the update that he was out of the clink. And so this was her when she was visiting him. If you're wondering, his castmates, Polly D with his terrible hair, and Vinny were there as well. But something interesting in all of this is that while he's been doing all this stuff with getting his prison sentence on, he has been actually taking steps to better his life, and he is partnering with various police departments to help young people not get hooked on drugs and alcohol. He is a recovering addict. He is an alcoholic, and he struggled with an addiction to, I believe, cocaine. And so his wife has been sharing a lot of stuff related to the work he does, and he speaks out publicly and helps individuals that are struggling with addiction. So his castmates have visited him in the clinker. And then there it is. The national long nightmare is over. The Situation has been released from prison. And that was on Lauren's Instagram. And then she shared this photo of my current mood of her waiting at a car. And then in a statement to E! News, they said, "We are elated and finally close this chapter of our life. We look forward to continuing our life as husband and wife and working on a baby situation. We truly believe that the comeback is always greater than the setback." So this was a 8-month sentence for actually a crime that was carrying a sentence of more than 10 years, but he ended up taking a plea deal in October of 2018 after he worked with federal prosecutors in his case. If you're not familiar with what he did, I was able to find a little bit of some information about his indictment, and according to the indictment, he and his brother Mark created businesses, 2 businesses in fact, one called MPS Entertainment and the Situation Nation, and they did this to exploit his celebrity status. The government alleged that they conspired to defraud the United States by not paying all federal income tax owed on approximately $8.9 million he had earned between 2010 and 2012, and it's alleged that the brothers filed or caused to be filed with the Internal Revenue Service false tax returns that understated his receipts, claimed fraudulent business deductions, disguised income payments made to the brothers, and underreported net business income. And as part of the conspiracy, they also allegedly commingled funds among businesses and personal bank accounts and used the money from the business bank accounts to pay for personal items such as high-end luxury vehicles and clothing. So he failed to file a tax return in 2011, and not only did they do that, but in order to elude federal prosecutors and the IRS, they would take cash, they would get cash and deposit it in deposits of less than $10,000 so that the IRS wouldn't get flagged for a very large deposit. because banks are required to file reports with the U.S. Treasury for cash deposits exceeding 10,000. So he made like small deposits so that they wouldn't take notice of them. And ultimately, it said in the actual indictment that he was facing 5 years for the conspiracy, up to 10 years in prison for another structuring count, and then 5 years for tax evasion. So Mr. Situation actually got off very lightly for defrauding the government of millions of dollars. In October, he and his attorney of 2018 pleaded guilty, and at the time of his guilty plea, they said, what the defendants admitted today in court, quite simply, is that tantamount to stealing money from the fellow taxpayers. Celebrity status does not provide a free pass for this obligation. And basically, they admitted that they did it, and he was given an 8-month sentence. His brother pleaded guilty to 1 count of aiding in the preparation of a fraudulent tax return, and he was sentenced on April 25th. So he actually got a really light sentence for what he did. Now, can you imagine, given the fact that this only spanned the course of 2 years, and $8.9 million that he made and he hid from the federal government, can you imagine what the Chrisleys might be facing in terms of like what their plea deal would look like, being that they haven't filed a tax return since 2012? So there's like 6 years of taxes, and during that time they were on Chrisley Knows Best, making millions and millions of dollars. Can you even imagine what their plea deal will look like? I'm certain, based on what I'm seeing with Mike's plea deal, that they're going to probably serve more than 8 months in jail. Mike will have to stay in his area, so he won't be able to, well, I guess it will depend on what they set for his release. But he has 2 more years of supervised release, meaning he will have a lot of requirements he will have to meet, and after that he will be a free man. His wife Lauren is eager to have a baby. She's been talking about it a lot on Instagram, and I think they're like, Mike's 37. I can't believe that. Can you believe that? These people from the Jersey Shore are like my age, or some of them are. It's odd to me because I feel like I was older when they were on TV, and I thought they were like ridiculous because they were so, oh God, remember how he always used to lift his shirt up and he'd show his abs all the time? He's definitely not looking like the old Situation of yesteryear, let's just say. He's filled out, he's had a lot of plastic surgery where he doesn't even look the same. I don't know why these people get so much plastic surgery that they become unrecognizable to who they used to be. He was not an bad looking guy, but at his peak, Mike was quite the arrogant man that did a lot of flaunting of his wealth, and now we know that a lot of that was on the backs of all of us taxpayers. And it seems to be pretty common in celebrity that you just find creative ways not to pay your taxes. So he is a convicted felon, which is going to follow him for the rest of his life, and he will have to somehow work through all of that. I'm sure he'll be all right. The Jersey Shore was picked back up by MTV because MTV apparently doesn't have anything creative or new to put on air, so they just keep rehashing and have the same people on their channel for the last decade, as referenced by the Teen Mom OG and Teen Mom 2 still being on air. They're doing the new series, or the new season of Jersey Shore Family Vacation is currently airing on MTV at this time, and Mike's absence in prison has been very noticeable because obviously he hasn't been filming. His wedding was a part of the episode, and JWoww's little kids were a part of the wedding, so that's cool. But Mike is back into the world and hopefully has learned a lesson, and I hope he continues to stay sober and working on bettering himself and helping other kids that are going through what he might have gone through. If you want to check out some of his stories about what he's doing, check out his Instagram or check out Lauren's Instagram, and you can see how he is trying to help people not make the same mistakes. And it's interesting because during the time that he defrauded the government, he was also well into in the middle of his addiction. So hopefully, being sober now, he will pay his taxes and stop, stealing from everyone else. All right, you guys, I'd like to know if you're excited about this, or do you even care, or is it just like everything else I do on this channel? I get nerded out about fraud cases because I am always like amazed that people with that kind of clout and magnified looks on them have the audacity to steal when everyone can see what they're doing. So I guess even when you're famous, you don't know how to, you can be arrogant, as referenced by Todd Chrisley, which we'll keep on covering. All right, you guys, I'll be back in a little bit with more, but if you have anything that you'd like me to cover today, make sure you send me a message on Instagram at Without a Crystal Ball, or on Facebook at facebook.com/withoutacrystalball, or on Twitter at WOA Crystal Ball. I'm always looking for followers, so make sure you follow me on my social media, and I will be back in a little while. Bye.